Brendan Schaub, because this is a pressing issue also. This happened the other day. Where what do you have first? What are we going to first?
All right. Well, I have multiple Brendan Schaub's crying, so you're gonna have to be very specific on this one.
Okay, the newer one, if we could start with that.
Okay, the one from The Fighter and the Kid, the latest.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So, David, by the way, I know we're going long here. If you have to hop off at any point, feel free to let me know. I appreciate you hanging around this long.
Roger that.
All right.
I'm looking forward to this Brendan Schaub. I received a text from somebody back in Kansas recently, and they said YouTube ads are giving me a bunch of things about Brendan Schaub trying to get back into comedy.
Really?
And I said, that's interesting. I thought he retired. He was supposed to be here in October last year, and he had to cancel a show. Then he went on to cancel many shows, and then he gave a sobbing response.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because you're watching Callen and Schaub give a response that if they gave 8 years ago, like if they started talking this honestly, 6, 7, 8 years ago, I think they would have kept a big chunk of their fan base. But it seems a little too late, but they are finally being honest. It seems like Brendan's following people's advice. Now, the comedy aspect, the part of be funny and goof around, that's still a little lost on him, I think, but baby steps, So this is a little weird. They celebrated the 1000th episode of The Fighter and the Kid. They also added that if you include the audio episodes, there's a bunch more than 1,000, but they're just going off of video, I guess. So they had, they had Andrew Schultz and Chris DiStefano and Chris D'Elia on, I think maybe a few other comics, to celebrate their 1000th episode. And then they ended with Q&A. And they said to the fans, they said to their producers, let the fans ask whatever they want. Like, we'll field any questions. And it seems like they meant it because they're addressing things they've never really talked about before. And seems like being very honest about it, I guess.
This is called Losing Friends, the first one.
With Chris's shit, like I know them. With Chris stuff, like I know stuff you guys don't know. I wouldn't stick behind a guy if any of that was true.
Hold on. So they're talking about Bryan Callen and Chris D'Elia getting canceled. And watch what Bryan Callen does here. Because this is kind of like, if you were talking to Louis C.K., and you were like, guys like you and Harvey Weinstein did not get a fair shake. And Louis would be like, well, let's hold on a second.
True. I know shit you guys don't know. So for people to get mad, like, I can't believe you defend them, like, well, that's what friends do. Now,
I do have to interject, Brendan. That is what friends do. They defend their friends. I think what people are doing when they criticize you guys is that when Chris D'Elia was accused of his sins, instead of calling him and asking, are you guilty of this stuff? The Fighter and the Kid, Callen and Schaub, did a podcast where they openly wept and said, we lost a friend today. So that, I think, is the part people are saying friends don't do necessarily. They seem to have forgotten that aspect, but I'll let Brendan continue.
Background where I come from, that's what friends do. You back your friends no matter what. I didn't realize that it would how many friends we'd lose in the comedy community, like how many friends we would lose. And for a long time, I was very upset at that. And now, we've gotten through it. Now I'm glad that happened because now we know what we're dealing with. We know who we can bank on, who we can't, all good. And I never expected that. Straight up, never expected that. And it just people show their true colors.
I also want to
say
something
their true
about
colors
that too.
Well, too bad, Brian.
Well, that's a mature way to handle it, and they're talking about this honestly. So let's see how they continue.
All right, Brian and Chris.
Here's my thing. I can understand why some of them didn't speak up for Brian and Chris. I get it. I get it because you're scared.
Brian and Chris are two different things too.
That's my favorite. It's like, yeah. Let's slow our roll real quick with the Brian and Chris stuff. Brian.
No.
Brian, Chris, Cosby, Vince Champ.
That whole cancel thing.
Not a bad list to be included in, really.
He's like, whoa, bro, whoa.
All in
Yeah,
different,
but that-
or all of us are in our different boats.
But still,
Callan's like, please stop lumping me in with Crystalia. It is not helping.
All right, next, Bobby Lee.
Okay, so this is something that these guys haven't, like, they've kind of talked about vaguely, but, like, if you don't remember, Callan and Schaub, and Kalila is at fault for a lot of this. Craig was right that Kalila was kind of behind the scenes doing a lot of what seems like dirty stuff. Bobby Lee was an innocent victim in this rivalry with Brendan Schaub. And Schaub and Callan, Bobby Lee's a very tiny man, not a physical guy at all. And Schaub and Callan got on the phone and physically threatened him and intimidated him. And I remember it was a moment where I heard, and I was like, boy, like we goof on Callan and Schaub, but it was kind of like John yelling, enjoy your prison. When I heard that, I was like, oh, these might be like bad guys. So I was ready to hear them address this.
I know a lot of people have brought this up, but I kind of want to ask your guys' situation on it. Like, what's going on with you and Bobby Lee? Have you guys squashed everything?
Yeah,
What's the
I
current
mean,
status?
so real quick, Brian's closer with. He's always been closer with Bobby than I was. Like me
That's
and
a
Bobby
friend.
didn't talk.
There's now
like,
that
weekly.
Brendan, there's the friend that we saw in the Crystalia situation. Immediately going, I know nothing about this. It's Brian's fault.
Brian's like, I didn't fuck her. No, hold on.
Hey,
even Muppet.
real quick, if I could wipe my hands clean of this, even though it was kind of my thing.
If I saw him at the store, we're always cool.
Yeah.
But it's not like if I tell you, which is the truth, I don't talk to Bobby. I didn't talk to him before any of this. So there's no falling out.
Anyways,
we weren't,
Brian?
we were never that close. Yeah.
So I had apologized to Bobby. I think I apologized to him 1,000 times, and I think
hence
we
the sign.
spoke a little bit, and I said, I love you, and I'm eternally sorry, and he said we're good, and we
And we're so good that
I
we've
love
never done
him.
any content together or been seen in public together ever. That's how good we are.
With every word, this Brian just regrets his life choice of attaching to this fucking MMA fighter. It's just, you can tell.
and I take full
It's tough.
responsibility.
Yeah, and like I do, you know what? There's something to that where like if it wasn't for the people goofing on Schaub, would there be as much attention on them? Like would this all have happened? Because for Callan was to a degree, I mean, he wasn't fucking Brad Pitt, but he was like a successful. You would always see him pop up in things. He was on that ABC show. He was in a bunch of like Old School, The Hangover. I mean,
Children's Hospital. It's great.
there's small parts. A lot of them. He was in How I Met Your Mother, like recurring role. Small parts, but like he was a working actor and a successful comic, and that's why like we kind of empathized when we heard him rant. Like I didn't understand why he thought he should be invited to the roast, but the part of that you empathized with is like, fuck, man, Schultz and Hinchcliffe and all these young guys have just zoomed past me. They've all passed me by. And it's all because of an allegation that seems like it wasn't true. And because I'm working with Brendan Schaub.
Yeah. He got off to such a quick start that he's like, this is my guy. And now he watched all those guys pass him. He's like, if I jump off now, I'll look like an idiot. So he's trapped. He's trapped.
Yeah.
ability. I was going through something. I was not working on good information, and I was wrong. I was wrong through and through. That guy didn't deserve it. He's Bobby. I've known a long time.
The whole thing was a
And
terrible
he's a
mistake.
he's a fucking national treasure.
I'm glad they said that
He just
because it
is.
really
And
was
he's
a terrible mistake.
Brendan
like-
sleeping with Bobby Lee's wife or girl was a mistake, right? That's what he's
well,
talking
that. But what I'm referring to more,
about. His dick fell in accidentally.
yeah, what I'm referring to more is Brendan accusing them and accusing Bobby of like creating fake Reddit accounts and going after them and doing it all so publicly because it turns out Brendan was wrong. And when you
It's a
do something
racist
like that,
accusation.
yeah, there's no turning back from that.
Also one of the funniest motherfuckers on the planet. He's
Yeah,
also
to ever do
he's
it.
just a good. He's just a fucking.
He also has the
sweet
most
human
viral
being.
podcast clip with us of all time.
Yeah. I mean, he's amazing.
Him
So
getting
I-
Yeah, well,
Blessed
even if
is
you
the
guys
funniest-
didn't go viral, that's no reason to try and ruin his life and intimidate him. I would suggest even if you didn't have a viral clip together.
Weird thing to have on your scorecard there, Brendan.
Bobby, I miss Bobby, and I don't have a lot of regrets. I've done everything. I've done a pretty good job. I made good choices in my life. I've treated everybody very well, I think
That
that's
one was a bad
that's
choice.
my biggest regret. I was defending my friend Brendan.
This is great,
I
guys.
was-
If this is the next day, if they're doing this whenever this happened, 2-3 years ago, if they're doing it the next day, like when they realized they were wrong, kudos, pat on the back, round of applause. The problem is, it's once everyone over and over again told you you were wrong for years. It's tough to now be like, hand up, guys, we were wrong. So yeah, no, we all said that for a while.
It's an odd group of secrets. It's like a skull and boneheads.
I like it.
wasn't working on all the information, and I don't know. I could get into what it was. I was going through some really crazy shit, and
Yeah,
I
you
just
were.
lost my fucking mind.
All right, good admissions.
Lawsuit.
Okay, so this I'll set this up a little bit. Are you guys familiar with the YouTube channel Unique, formerly known as Scion Z?
No.
So he's a guy that he used to cover specifically Opie and Anthony, and then he covered like comedy for a while, and now he really just focuses in on Brendan Schaub because he was making videos, like a lot of people were, making fun of Brendan Schaub. And, you know, Scion Z would suggest that Brendan may have been cheating on his wife and things like this. Allegations that people, I don't know if they're true, but people have further backed up in the years since then. So this guy was basically goofing on Brendan Schaub, like a lot of people on Reddit were. This is not dissimilar from like what Stuttering John did, where there's a way to handle goofing and there's a way not to. And the way not to is by suing Unique, who, if you don't know who Unique is, he's a guy that lives in Rhode Island and has a very severe lisp. He sounds like Daffy Duck. And he gets drunk on the internet every night. And Brendan decided, I'm going to take everything from this guy. a man who has nothing. What can I take from him? Oh, his YouTube channel. And so that's what Brendan Schaub did. And I've never heard him talk about it. Maybe he has and I've missed it, but I've never heard him directly address it. And this is about as much ownership as I would expect Brendan to take. I said if he admitted things years ago, maybe he would have gotten credit. This he still probably wouldn't have gotten credit for because he's not taking full responsibility.
So with that, so this guy who works for me, right, doing this stuff, business manager, he goes, hey man, I got a call from this lawyer. I've known him a long time. That there's this guy on YouTube. He's making thousands of videos, you know, bad mouthing you and using your content, blah, blah. And I go,
He said, I don't care.
I go, I don't care, dude. Like, there's a million of them. What are you gonna do?
All right.
He goes,
Point one, where I think he's being disingenuous. I don't think he said, I don't care. I think Brendan at that time cared very much. I think now he's at the point where he's like, I don't care. You know, if he saw this video of us which we're not even being that bad to him, but if we were really going in on Schaub and he saw this video, now in 2024, he might be like, I don't care. This is where Brendan's not being fully honest. He did care very much at the time. He was an athlete. He was not used to this type of ball busting on the internet. And he had just like fairly recently gotten really famous and had more attention to him. And he had a subreddit dedicated to him, and he had YouTube channels dedicated to him. I can understand not adjusting to that correctly, and Brendan did exactly that. He was horrible at handling it. If he was honest about it now and was like, I was really sensitive and I handled it badly, I'd say round of applause. I'd put on my thick boy hat and give Brendan a round of applause. But he's not taking ownership here, which is still, it's like Stuttering John, where I'm like, one day he's going to hear me and he's going to act accordingly, the way a comedian would. And he just doesn't do that.
That's bad, man. He said you hit your kids, and I was like, okay, like I don't give a shit, dude. None of it's true. That goes away. Next week comes back, same thing, dude. I'm telling you, I really think we should do something, you know. And they know how to pull at my heartstring. He goes, you know, he has a rap sheet where you know he beat his son. It's on video on there. I'm like, whoa, all right, do what you got to do.
That's right.
And I was told,
Child abuse.
ready? I was told. this is
So
easy.
what Brendan Schaub is saying is once they started going after his kids is where he drew the line.
Well, it's almost, you know, he's such a good guy. He said, well, you know, I don't beat my kids. No, it's not that you beat your kids. He beats his kids. And then he said, well, now I have to stand up.
Oh, is that what he was saying? Was that
Yes.
Scion Z beats his kids?
Yes.
It was a
Oh!
switch.
I thought Scion Z was accusing Brendan of that.
That's right. And Brendan said, I don't mind that. You know, it's not even true. And then he says, but hold up. It gets better.
Yeah. We got some
Brendan's
information.
a hero.
My private investigator got some information about this beta of kids. It's very similar to what.
So
Surrey did.
Brendan is taking justice into his own hands.
I better cut off his income to save the kids.
Yes, definitely. If this guy's dead broke, he definitely won't beat it. Who in poverty beats their children?
It'd take 3 months. It's still going on. That was
Really?
3 years ago. It's still going on.
So forget
But here's
about
what-
it. We're crying over spilled milk. It's years ago.
3 years.
This guy's only had to pay for lawyers for years.
Oh God, 3 years. That's hilarious.
People don't realize is, so they told me 3 months, and I don't know if they were in cahoots together, just getting money out of me or whatever. I don't.
Please let that be it. Oh, please let that be.
I
And the guy with the Mattery's 100,000 guy, please let it be the same guy. This one guy just traveling
just
around
going
ripping all these fuckers off.
One day, Chad Zumach is like, I had an investor come in, and
if the guy walked in there right now as a guest, I couldn't point him out. I don't know who it is. I wasn't dealing with him. I'm like, yeah, do your thing.
Wait.
Again,
and you trusted this guy to orchestrate a lawsuit?
3-year-long lawsuit.
Like, you don't know who he is? Brendan, that's not a good defense. Oh, but you guys don't understand. Why did I file a lawsuit against this guy? Because the person that told me meant literally nothing to me.
that's me now. Me 10 years ago, I would never. You're never gonna beat the internet. It's just, internet's gonna internet. There's nothing you can
That's
do.
good,
That's
Brendan. It's
And
good
at the
that you
time,
know
like
that.
the initial cost, good amount of money, but again, at the time, whatever.
this
your
is
boy's
like-
balling.
I mentioned that Dave Smith, Chris Cuomo debate. And Dave kept saying, like, you should apologize to Cuomo, which I don't necessarily like. I'm not about demanding apologies. If they're fake, they're utterly useless. But Dave Smith's point was like, you shamed people for a point of view you now have. You were part of ruining people's lives, and now you're like, oh, you know what? I was wrong. I kind of agree with you guys. And there's no like, oops, sorry about that.
Intellectual consistency is hard with Brendan Schaub.
Right. That's what Brendan's doing, where he's like, hey, guys, now I wouldn't sue him. So you should still forgive me for the lawsuit that he's still tangled up in.
3 years of court costs.
Yeah.
So at the time, like, yeah, do what you got to do. Well, thank God, and people don't realize this, and even if he's doing, like, dragging it out, it's pro bono. I don't pay anymore.
Oh,
So
good.
so
Oh, good. The millionaire isn't losing his money. It's only the drunk in Rhode Island that is funneling money into this case.
And he set it up so his lawyer only gets paid if this drunk in Rhode Island is crushed. So
Yeah.
What are today's theme? I guess are just a bunch of people out doing thousands and thousands of free work for comedians. What's going on?
tell me about it. Tell me about it, David Collins.
whatever issue they have with it, I couldn't tell you what's going on with it. I couldn't tell you when it's going to end. I know nothing about. I don't associate with them anymore. I
good.
couldn't tell you. I could not tell you.
Again, much like with Brian Callen a few minutes ago, wiping the old hands clean of this one.
Still
I
got the
nothing to
name.
do with it.
Still got the name as the prosecuting part of the lawsuit. Yes, but not having anything to do with it.
Yeah. That lawsuit titled Brendan Schaub versus fucking Kyle from Rhode Island, I have nothing to do with that.
No. Got court Thursday. This next one's called Emotional.
Well, okay. This is where these guys are having a tough time. And this harkens back to we've talked a lot about their ticket sales at the Vulcan. They were doing this monthly show at the Vulcan. They did one with very low ticket sales. They canceled another and pretended it was because Brian Callen remembered he was having a baby. He's like, oh, fuck, that's right. I'm having a kid. Shit. So they canceled that one, and then I just don't think it's ever come up again. So these guys have been struggling. And then we played the clip of Callen talking about not being invited to the roast. These guys have had a hard time, and it is pouring out of them now. They are reflecting when they were, one of the 5 biggest podcasts in the world. They're having a tough time remembering that.
With Brian, the way he dealt with this stuff, but I'll get emotional here.
Oh no.
It drives me. If we're being honest, leave this, Chin. Don't edit this out. I'm speaking from my fucking heart. I know you're not gonna like this. I'm gonna look right. It drives me fucking.
I know you're not going to like me defending you.
I'm gonna look right at the camera, and then the camera switches.
Even his own people fuck with him. That's great.
Nuts that Brian's at where he's at. I will challenge anyone, any comic, to go on stage after Callan. I challenge any of those comics. I don't give a fuck if it's the Comedy Store, Zanies, wherever they're at. And you're telling me Brian's not better than 99% of those fucking comics. It drives me nuts that he's not up there with those guys.
Hey, so Brendan, he's also more successful than 99% of comics. You have to realize that, right?
This has got to just make douche chills run up Brian Callen's spine right now.
Percentage-wise, Brian has made more money than most people that have tried stand-up comedy in the time that he's done it. Way more.
100%.
Like, Brian wasn't owed it. Now, I will say, if those allegations were false and that fucked up Brian's career to the degree that it did, it is wrong. And I'm glad Shaw, that's actually a good friend, Shaw, defending that. But they're not taking ownership. They're not like, hey, our podcast was mocked relentlessly for years, and that's part of the reason. They kind of think the only reason their numbers have fallen is because of that Callan allegation. That was a big part of it. But they're not taking ownership of everything that happened, just some of it.
Yeah, and Brendan Schaub's your director of communications. That's just rough. That's just rough.
Better than fucking 99% of them. And you want to outcast him over some bullshit? That's what I don't fuck with. That's what upsets me. So it makes me proud
it's interesting.
And not mad. I'm trying to get mad.
It's tough because I agree with this take. I think the idea that, like, quote unquote friends of theirs fled when Callan had allegations, when people had no idea if it was true or not, I do think that's fucked up. Like, if you know Brian Callan, you should put more stock in what he's saying than strangers. And then if you learn evidence over time, if you look into the case or what the woman is saying, whatever, and you're like, boy, I don't have a great feeling about this, then you can distance yourself from Callan. But the problem is people did it day one before they knew anything.
Well, I hate to add to social pressures, and I completely empathize with what you're saying.
Yeah.
But we could look to the people that know him best and read, oh, these accusations come out. Ooh, wait, that does sound accurate.
Yeah, that's a good point too, is maybe they thought that. But the angle I'm taking is more that, like, I understand that feeling shitty. Like, hey, Whitney Cummings abandoned us. Fuck her. The problem is, if you go back and find a video, you just look up, it's a quick Google search. We don't have to do it, but on your own time. Search on YouTube, Fighter and the Kid reacts to Chris D'Elia charges. These men wept and said, we thought we knew him. I really only did a couple of road gigs with the guy. I didn't know dick about him. And, good riddance. So the people that Brendan is talking about, he should lump them in with that because that's exactly what they did to Chris D'Elia. So it's great to try and win over our sympathies, but you guys kind of did that too, So as David said, it's not as easy as just being like, hey, I know these guys. Brian's definitely not a rapist because I hang out at a comedy club with him. It's not always that easy. So like as David pointed out, my point is coming from a good place, but it's not always the easiest thing to do,
Well, Brendan's already said he knows more and a lot more than any of us at home know, which kind of made me concerned. It's like he's saying, I know things that would make the hair on the back of your neck into Japanese knives.
They had fake IDs. It wasn't Chris was tricked.
And look at us. Like, we stand by Kragers no matter what the charge. So,
that's exactly right. Yeah. So I've had Craig on this program through thick and thin, no matter what he's done, what horrors he's done onto people.
From thick to thin, the Ozempic story with Craig Akode.
Yes, that's right.
Proud is he's not going to lash out about it.
Mints.
Brian's cool. Brian goes to work. Brian's doing the road. Brian's trying to sell tickets.
That's better than mine, assholes.
But I'll tell you right now, I don't forget. That shit's not cool with me. That's why you don't see me at those fucking places.
You guys did it. And they don't see you at those places because you're not getting invited anymore. That's the problem is the underlying hypocrisy. If, let me think of it. If Tony Hinchcliffe was saying this, who's very successful and has all this heat from the roast and Kill Tony's on fire, and if Tony was saying, hey, I don't deal with these people anymore. I don't like what they did to my friends, blah, blah, blah. That carries some weight. When you guys aren't being invited to these places and you're saying, I won't step foot in there. It doesn't really, you know what, Brendan? Neither will I. You know what? You're not gonna find me in the green room of the Comedy Store.
Didn't we see him in a place and they had 3 minutes of material and then canceled the tour?
Right.
We saw him do that already.
Yeah.
Sorry, dude.
Come on.
Fist bump
Thank
at the end.
Nice.
Tied my career to you. Fist bump.
All right.
I was looking forward to all the new ideas they had for their following live show, too. That first one did not run so smoothly, although it made me feel very good. It was very soon after our David Collins 30-minute half-hour live show, and I was like, oh, well, we did a pretty good job here.
Yes. Yeah, you guys were very well prepared. I enjoyed that program.
But I was looking forward, well, boy, what a nice stage they had, and the guests that they said they had planned and booked, I guess it just never took place.
And guys, remember to check out David Collins' 30-minute half-hour show at David Collins Show on YouTube. Go check that out right now. Subscribe. As you heard today, David is a very funny guy, and we love David here, so go support the boy.
Absolutely. And we got some super chats. You there, DJ Electra? Wake up.
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm like losing my voice now.
What the hell was that?
That was my voice not working. Oh my gosh.
Zombie impression.
So sorry.
All right. Okay. You ready, DJ Electra?
Compose yourself.
Yes. Dang Lizard said, SJ tweeted, about to hit Colorado. Tukey put out bologna and Coors on the porch because they're out at the water park for Father's Day. Another win for Stuttering John.
We might have to stay on live like the OJ chase. We might have to follow him from Nevada to Colorado.
That's OJ, and he's scared. All right, DJ.
Chef Louie, 3-hour blind mic project. Best Father's Day ever.
Hey-o.
It'll be longer than that, it seems. We're still cruising.
We're about halfway done. Here we go. One more here.
Paul Penix, is Craig down at the playground picking up hot chicks again?
I don't want to speak on what he's doing. I'm sure in many ways, as he always tells me, what he's doing is nurturing young people. So it is the work of a father in a way.
Well, it just makes people call him daddy, I think, is the thing there.
Yeah.
What would you like next, Blind Mike?
Okay, so Brendan has, he says he's learned from past mistakes. And one of his big mistakes, he talked about it in that episode we just played, but one of his past mistakes is spreading himself too thin. He quit stand-up comedy because he didn't have time to see his family. He quit doing some of the shows he was doing because it just spread him too thin. But then he said, you know what people need? And listen, this Dave Portnoy guy, he's reviewing pizzas with one bite. What if a guy took 2 or more bites? And that's what Brendan Schaub said when he started grabbing a slice with Brendan Schaub. This is very exciting. So let's watch Brendan Schaub's new venture. Now, there's only one episode of this so far, at least last I checked. But let's see if this new show is the ticket to Brendan's climb back to success.
What's up, guys? Your
Hello.
boy Mikey Mushimeshi from One Championship called me, said he's in LA, said he's starving. I know he's a pizza head, so I decided to bring him down to my favorite pizza spot in LA. Let's get a slice.
Well, very original idea.
All right, this one's called Deep Pizza Talk.
Okay, so this is people like Dave Portnoy's pizza reviews because they feel like he's a man of the people. He relates to what they would want, and he has some insight. He's tried so many pizzas that he could really add some insight into each slice. These, as you can tell, are a couple of pie guys. This is a man that knows a good slice and is going to direct it to the right place. So you're going to be thankful after you hear this clip. Thank God for the good of humanity and our tummies. Thank God that Brendan Schaub has started a pizza show.
All right, Mikey, when I invited you to lunch, you think you were making your own pizza?
No, I
me.
didn't.
Yeah, me neither. News to me. Let's see how this goes.
Oh, this
I'm probably going
jiu-jitsu
to
guy, I
copy.
think, makes it every day. He's a professional jiu-jitsu guy. I believe he makes one big pizza every day at the end of his day, and that's all he eats.
Yes, they talk about that his thing, all he eats is pasta and pizza, basically. That's how he bulks up, gains weight. And so, as you can imagine, Brendan would have some fascinating questions to ask him.
You, since
Okay.
you're the pizza expert. I would
Yeah,
say.
so-
out of the two of us, you're the expert.
So I would say the only thing I like, because
Good
I'm
thing you
basic,
started
I
a
don't
show
like
about
these, like fancy toppings or anything.
So no pineapple,
No, no,
anchovies,
no.
Yeah, I don't like pineapple either, dude.
Okay.
Wow.
Just making sure.
No, we're still friends.
Yeah, we're good. We're just
Who's
gonna
the
make a
host here?
basic margarita pizza.
All right.
Just sauce and cheese.
So
Nothing
start
else
with
it
a
needs.
marinara.
Yeah, we start the marinara.
All right.
Wow. That's how you know a pizza guy when he's like, "Hey, I don't like pineapple. What I do like is marinara sauce on my pizza." That's a really unique take. It's needed. It's honestly, thank God, Brendan is adding his expertise to yet another category. You know, he's talked cars, fighting, comedy, all kinds of stuff. What we needed is how does Brendan nourish himself? Sauce on pizza, my God.
And here's a pro tip from Brendan.
Okay.
Take your marinara.
I like mine a little saucier. Do
You like your saucy?
Yeah, I know you gotta.
Well, I'm not on the sauce.
I
so-
know. Yeah, you're definitely not. We'll
I didn't know
talk
he
about
invited a
that.
comedian.
Yeah. Whenever I order Domino's, I
Oh
was.
no, Domino's is not pizza.
Yeah, fair, but it is kind of. Well, it's not, is it? It's like calling Taco Bell Mexican food.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, sometimes I got kids, man, and you got to do what you got to do. But
This is like if I started Why You Laughing and I was like, we're going to talk about the greats, legends like Jeff Dunham and fucking Bill Engvall. All the best comics. Brendan's like, yeah, well, I enjoyed Domino's.
They should make the pizza, eat it, then wrestle around afterward because they're both MMA fighters.
Listen to this. It's fine to eat. It's absolutely fine to eat Domino's. They're very successful. A lot of people do it every day.
They fix potholes.
Absolutely. It's perfectly fine to eat Domino's. But you don't necessarily need a show to tell people to do that, you know? Like the word is out on Domino's, I think.
If you're ever in a pinch and you need a nice hot pizza, from Domino's, what you do is you always order the extra sauce because they have to make it.
Yeah, they have
to make it fresh, he says.
That's
Oh,
what
that's
he
good.
said.
That's good to know, Brendan. I'm glad you started a pizza review show. Now, like Dave Portnoy has the One Bite app, so anywhere you go, you know like the best pizza scores. Now you know if with Brendan's new app, you'll know where the Domino's in any given city is. It's very exciting.
It's more like a fast food hack than a pizza show.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
I got one more crying Brendan Schaub. If you
Okay, yeah. So Brendan's had a tough week or two. So this is from a week, or actually maybe only a couple days earlier. I think 2 episodes in a row. Brendan gets very emotional, and these guys they've really struggled. Like they've made a lot of mistakes, but my heart does go out to them in a way. Watching them publicly struggle through not having as many views on YouTube.
Man in crisis.
You made Sanaz cry.
And he came up to me and goes, "Dad, I'm starting pitcher." In my head, I went, "Oh fuck," because the kids are really good. And
Yeah.
me and him haven't worked out because usually it's a repetition thing. He has to, he's never been
a lot of
taught.
pressure.
He's never been taught to pitch, dude. He has no professional training in pitching. There's a lot that goes into pitching.
Oh yeah.
Bro, and I'll post a picture of him. He's in his outfit, and I got him these cleats. He doesn't really care about the cleats.
Oh boy.
I do. And I wrote his name on them. It's tough. Talk about
Get it together, Brendan.
It's tough. But I was just looking at
Okay,
him
well,
like,
hey,
holy
we can understand. Listen, I'm not a father. I can imagine when you're thinking about how fast your son is growing up and all the amazing things he's doing. Now,
Oh,
I
his
can
son.
understand. Yeah, I can understand why he would get emotional about his son, right? We can all. It's Father's Day. Everyone can relate to that. So I'm sure it won't turn selfish at any point. This is definitely just about his son.
Until the cleats, I
Fuck.
thought this was Pride Month related.
dude, look at this little dude, man.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then does this thing,
It's kids, bro. There's nothing that gets you more.
Well said,
for those
Brian.
of
Really
you out there that
pathetic here.
Kids, bro.
don't have kids, dude, I could die tomorrow.
Whoa.
I've had a great fucking life.
Okay.
I'm a cat. I've had 9 lives career-wise.
All right. Well, we don't need to go over every detail. That's good.
Yeah, I once fucked this Asian comedian's wife.
I played football, and
That's amazing.
it was such a good time. I was in the
I got
UFC, I'm
such
like,
good pussy.
God, the things I did, it was so cool.
Okay, well,
Stand
we're
up.
losing sympathy, but
You joking me, dude? Oh my God. Some of the best times ever. I'm so
All right,
lucky. I've done cool shit. I've done cool shit with this guy.
yeah, I thought this was about your son. Brendan,
Meryl Streep here.
get it together.
we've done cool shit.
Yeah.
Nothing is better
Oh,
It's true.
than that.
okay, that's good.
It's true.
Boy,
Sorry.
Brian has lost his acting chops. He doesn't know what the fuck to do here. I've never seen a
worth
man.
crying.
The other guy's going, "Yep, absolutely."
It's also,
just
in a
like-
way, it's Brendan telling Brian what he doesn't have.
Yeah, that's at the root of all of this. Is like it on the surface, it seems like he's getting emotional about his son. What he's really saying is like, "Oh, motherfucker, did we have a good run, buddy? And now, not so much."
Crying over.
It's worth crying over.
Yep.
He said.
I'm just happy.
It's the only thing that, yeah. It's the only thing that gets me going, too.
Just happy.
It seems
That's
like it,
amazing.
Brian.
Cause
That's
you,
amazing, dude.
cause you realize you're doing
passion.
something right. You
Yeah.
realize you're doing something right as a dad.
Yeah.
What?
Everything else is so,
And he's a good kid.
Everything else is so hard, full of failure. But when you got a kid like that,
I mean, you see this cocksucker Tony Hinchcliffe killing at the roast, and you think that should be me. But I guess my son's doing good at baseball, so it's all fine.
He sounds like the "Give Me a Chance" girl on Stern. Like, give me a chance.
You know,
Everything's so
when
full
you-
of failure.
when you take care of your kid, you teach your kid things, and you watch them growing and getting better.
In this crazy
There's
world.
no failure. It's like you're. It's all love,
Yep.
right?
And in this crazy world, like the world's on fire, and you're worried. Oh, is he gonna get into this? Is he gonna get into this?
Yeah, man.
And what? Like when we went to St.
Yeah,
World's on
it's
fire.
okay.
We're all getting less views on our podcast. It's affecting all of us.
You're together.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that is it. That's all for the crying Brendan Schaub
Oh,
today.
poor Brendan Schaub.
He's on the same drug as John.
He's really going through something.
Yeah,
It's
it's
tough to
called
watch. but-
Vitamin narcissism. That's the drug. I mean, honestly, when someone cries about themselves like that,
Yeah.
that is the sign that this person is unwell. Like, because we don't cry about ourselves like that. We
No,
laugh
I
at
mean,
ourselves.
we talked about it with John, where it's like he gets emotional thinking about like what he gave back teaching, and it's like you let other people do this. You know what I mean? Like again, crying about his son is a different thing, but then when you realize it's like, oh, you're crying because you used to have one of the 5 biggest podcasts in the world, and now it's still successful but smaller. That's not necessarily a reason for us to empathize with you.
Very specific. All right, Blind Mike, where
But,
we
like compared to this podcast, like Brendan's doing very well, and that's why it's hard for me to be like, "Oh, you poor guy."
Yeah, but you're on the rise and he's on the fall, so there's a trajectory there.
I suppose, yeah.
Where do you want to?